Hi friends, this class is called a loving stretch. Have you ever had the experience where you give yourself a couple of moments for a good long stretch and it seems like your whole life just falls back into alignment? That might be an oversimplification, but this is a simple class with simple poses intended just to give us a little space and a loving stretch. We're going to start reclined on our back, so meet me there when you're ready. Depending on where you are in your day, if reclining makes you feel drowsy in any way, I recommend bending your knees and planting your feet to the floor as I am, and then rest your hands wherever they feel comfortable. We'll take a couple of moments and tune into our breath, encouraging the first couple of breaths to be really easy, really natural. Giving the body opportunity to remember just what it feels like to breathe in and to let go. After a few breaths, you may begin to recognize your body's capacity to expand with breath. And so as it feels good to you without putting too much force or too much manipulation, allow your next inhale to expand into a way that you can feel your ribs expanding and your back body receiving the breath. And be patient with the exhales as they release all the way. Give yourself the chance for one more full body, full encompassing breath. And when your next inhale comes, slowly start to send your arms all the way up overhead and slowly kick your feet all the way down the mat. And feel your body expanding away from the center of you, limbs away from the center. Inhale to stretch out long. Exhale to release a little bit of that energy. One more time, inhale, stretch everything long. And when your exhale comes, gently hug your knees in towards yourself and give yourself a gentle squeeze. Take your knees around in a circular pattern. And notice how this starts to give movement to your entire pelvis. So you'll start to feel that area of the back of your tailbone pressing and moving around into the floor. If you've only gone in one direction, that's the body's preferred way. Come back into center for just a moment, and for just a spin or two, explore going the other way. Again, come back into center, release feet back to the floor. Knees bent, your arms will stretch open and wide. Palms can face up toward the ceiling. Take a moment to stretch your arms. So see if you can become active in your hands in such a way that you open your fingers and attempt to click all 5 fingernails, including your thumb, down into the floor. Take an inhale at center. And as you exhale, slowly roll your nose all the way toward your left thumb. Feel a bit of a stretch that starts to form through the right shoulder and down the length of the right side of your neck. Wait for an inhale and roll along the back of your head till your nose points to the ceiling. And then exhale and roll the other way until your nose points all the way over to your right hand. Now, this movement can go just like that. Inhale through center, exhale away. Or you could break it down to be an inhale in one direction and an exhale in the other. I leave it to you to see what feels the most natural and true to you. 3 more breaths just like this. Great. When your nose points back up to the ceiling, rest there. Take a big inhale, stretch your fingertips away from one another. And as your exhale comes, give yourself a gentle hug where your right arm slides over your left and you reach around for your shoulders. Now, depending on how this feels on your shoulders, you can welcome yourself to walk your fingertips toward the back edges of your shoulder blades. Give yourself a gentle squeeze, big breath. Wait for your next inhale, expand and open your arms. Why not click your fingernails back down onto the floor? And then change sides, where you give yourself a self-embrace once again, but this time a left arm over right. One more huge full body breath here. Inhale, open arms wide. And when your exhale comes, we'll roll our whole body off to one side. Hands can help us to come all the way back up. And we're gonna turn to face the front end of the mat. Set yourself up into a tabletop pose and welcome yourself to anything loving under your knees if that is helpful to you. When your inhale comes, drop your belly, roll your chest open. When your exhale comes, push the floor away and round. We'll stay with that for a few cycles of breath. Every inhale opens the chest. Every exhale stretches the whole space at the back of the neck, the upper back, the shoulders. Forward and back on the call of your breath, and with eyes open or closed, you could definitely decide to adapt this in any way if it felt good to your body to get slithery or organic in movement. One more full round wherever you are. And the next time you inhale and bring your gaze forward, move your hands just ahead of your shoulders, turn your toes under behind you, and lift your bum up really nice and high for a downward facing dog. Keep your fingers wide spread so you have a good contact with the mat in using the whole inner scope of your hand. So every pad of your finger and thumb. And then if it feels good, welcome yourself to any movement that feels natural. That might be pedaling of the legs or dancing around. You can widen your hands or your feet in any way that feels good. Push from your heart down into your hands so your upper back has a really long open stretch. And breathe here for one more. Good. When your exhale comes, let's come just right back down to the mat. Knees come down to the earth. We're going to walk them a bit wide and drop your hips down toward your heels. Forehead comes to rest toward the earth, and we'll just take a moment to allow the body to settle into this child's pose. Child's pose isn't necessarily the most comfortable pose for those of us with ankle things or knee things. So do your best. If you want a blanket roll under the front of your ankle or something that you roll up and put behind the back of your calf, between your calf and your thigh. These things can help alleviate pressure in some of those joints. We're going to press our hands down into the floor and hand by hand walk your upper body over toward the left. Now really try to keep your right sit bone rested down towards your heel and stretch your whole right side very long. From your right hip crease all the way up to your right fingertip, feel the fibers of your body having a long, loving stretch. Fill your right rib cage with one more big, full body breath. And hand by hand, let's walk all the way back to center and change directions. Best you can, lay your forehead down toward the earth. Keeping left sit bone resting back toward left heel. Your entire left side body stretches open and lovingly. Hand by hand again, all the way back to center, full body stretch. When your inhale comes, let's lift back up into our table. We'll bring our hands slightly forward again of our shoulders, toes tuck, and let's lift up slow for a downward facing dog. Look toward your hands and take a leisurely walk to the front of the mat. Fingers can disconnect whenever it is that happens. Feet will lay out about as wide as hip distance. Upper body takes a soft roll toward the earth. We'll just take a moment to feel out all our parts here. How the back body feels, how the back of the legs feel, how the neck feels, how the arms feel. Take a huge breath in. A complete breath out. And then slower than you'd like, deep bend in your knees. Use an inhale and roll up to stand. And an exhale to send everything down, standing tall. Feet are no wider than an outer hip distance if possible. Feel all four corners of your feet, giving you stability by grounding in. Standing muscularly and energetically down through your feet, rebound up through your body so you're at your tallest height, resting your shoulders down out of your ears. And find a fluidity between breath and movement. So when your inhale comes, you send your arms high and stretch. And when your exhale comes, you soften the knees and bow back down, forward fold. Fingertips up onto your shins, inhale halfway. And then exhale, release and fold. Inhale, arms all the way back up to the sky, big stretch. Exhale, hands swim down to your sides. Let's do that one more time. Inhale to stretch all the way up. Exhale, soften your knees and take a slow forward fold. Inhale, halfway up, stretch your chest forward. Exhale again, release and fold. Inhale, all the way back up to the sky, big full body stretch. Exhale, hands swim down to your sides. Little change. Inhale, all the way up. Exhale, slow dive. Inhale, halfway lift, long open chest, neck long. Exhale, simple fold. Fingertips to support you. We're going to take our right foot back. If you have access to blocks and you're using them, go ahead and grab those. Taking a moment to settle into a runner's lunge where our back heel stays lifted, our front foot is grounded, and our chest pulls forward. We're going to find a bit of a kriya between two postures here. So when your inhale comes, go ahead and straighten both legs, lift your hips. When your exhale comes, bend your front knee, sink into your hips, pull your chest away from your heel, back heel. Inhale, straighten both legs. Exhale, sink your hips. Good. Every time you inhale and straighten your legs, try to pull right hip point forward, left hip point back. And exhale as you sink into your hips. Keep your chest lifted so we're not collapsing. Let's do two more. Inhale to straighten. Exhale to sink. Inhale to straighten. Exhale to sink. And then push through your left foot and collect your right foot up to meet it. Inhale up halfway. Exhale, simple fold. Fingertips to the floor of the block. Right foot. Left foot. All the way back. Pardon me. Take a moment to settle. So right foot grounds in, all 4 points. Left leg is strong back behind us. The heel is lifted of the left foot, and we're pulling the left thigh bone back up behind us so there is support in this leg. Moving through our two postures, use your breath to indicate the movement. Inhale to straighten both legs, tacking right hip point back. Exhale, sink into the hips, keeping left leg strong, chest lifted. 4 of these, so a set of 5 altogether. Inhale to straighten, exhale to sink. Inhale to straighten, and exhale to sink. 2 more following your own breath. We're not going to get that out of sync with one another, so follow your breath over my movement or my cue. From here, remove your blocks if you're using them. Bring your hands back down to the floor and step back to a downward facing dog. Big, loving, full body stretch. Notice your hands pushing into the floor. Notice any places in your body that the movement seems different than it was before. Take a pedal if that's something that you love. And then slowly, lovingly looking back up to your hands and taking a walk back up to the front as we did before. Feet are about hip distance. Inhale, halfway up. Exhale, take a dive and fold. Inhale, arms to the sky, big stretch. Exhale, hands come down through your center or swim to your sides. I'll turn to face you at the front of the mat. Walk to a place where your big toes come close to touch. From here, you're going to stay standing on your right foot and step your left foot back behind. So left heel is high. We're ready to do a bit of a curtsy. Inhale to sweep both arms up high, and your right fingertips are going to wrap your left wrist and lean a little bit over toward the right side. Take a full body breath. And then inhale, come straight back up. Parallel your feet, and exhale, swim your hands down to the sides. Same, stepping down through your left foot. Take a little curtsy stance where your right foot stands behind, heel is high. Inhale, stretch both arms all the way up to the sky. Wrap your left fingertips around your right wrist, and exhale to lean over. Notice the long length through your side waist and take a full, loving breath. Inhale back up through center. Parallel your feet and exhale, swim down. We'll take one more round of standing posture. Inhale all the way up. Exhale, slow dive back to our fold. Halfway up with an inhale. And simple fold to let go. With your fingertips to support you, right foot back, your knee comes down to the earth. Your back toe can be tucked or untucked, and when you're steady through your left foot, inhale to lift up nice and slow to a low lunge. Find a little activation in the front of your belly that will help keep the front of your pubic bone lifted toward your navel. Stretch long again through your sides, so from hips to armpits, you get long. And take one more deep, loving breath. When your exhale comes, hands come down to touch the mat. Your back toe will touch so you can lift your knee, and we'll pivot our back foot for a setup of warrior two. Blade of back foot is parallel to the back side of the mat, and you're going to carve your arms up and open, fingertips stretching forward and back. Take a moment to settle into the posture, feeling the strength of your front thigh. Take a slow rotation of right hip and right femur bone open toward the back of the mat. One more huge breath. Good. When your exhale comes, both hands come back down. We'll step front foot back and find a downward facing dog. Big full breath. One more full body breath here. And look forward to your hands. Step your right foot the best that you can toward the front of the mat. If it doesn't get all the way, who cares? Drag it forward. Lay your left knee down to the floor. Back toe can be tucked or untucked, and arms are going to sweep high. Take a moment again and get long from hips to armpits. Notice our ability to draw hip points toward lower rib cage, so we're keeping this containment in low belly. And breathe here one more. When your exhale comes, hands come down to frame your front foot, back knee lifts, and we'll pivot our back foot, setting up for a warrior two. Like our front heel can draw an invisible line to intersect our back arch. Arms spiral open and fingertips stretch away from one another. Resting our shoulders down out of our ears, keeping this energetic lift of the front of our belly. Breathe here one more, solid and true. Good. When your exhale comes, both hands come down. Last time, step front foot back toward a downward facing dog. Spread your hands out wide, push from your hands all the way back to your hips. So you're pulling the weight of your hips out of your wrist creases. Take one more full body breath here. And when your exhale comes, knees come down. I'm going to widen mine. Hips back toward your heels for a couple of breaths in child's pose. Make it yours, so if you want your thigh bones drawn together so your belly can rest there, please do. If you'd like something under your forehead, a block or folded hands, a bolster, please find that as well. Notice your breath, the way that it changes once body is asked to move and to strengthen and to stretch.
Bring your breath back into a full loving scope. When you're ready to push the floor away, walk yourself up to a seated place. We're just going to let our hips sink off toward one side. From here, we're going to come toward the front edge of the mat and sit toward the outer edge of our right hip. You're going to splay your legs open a bit so that your right knee can point forward and you can nest your left foot to the bottom of the right knee. From here, we'll pivot and turn our upper body until our fingertips can come down into the floor into this variation of a 90-90 or deer pose. Now you can play with this as much as you like. If it feels like you don't have a whole lot of sensation, what I would invite you to do is to start to pull the right shin forward toward the top edge of the mat and to drag the left shin out so that it starts to align to the long edge of the mat. Work to continually draw your right sit bone beneath you. This will probably start to pick up a lot more sensation, and we will find ourselves into a space where we're really targeting some of the tough areas around our hip sockets and our hip girdle. Now, if you're in a body, what you're hoping is that I will invite you to kick this all the way over to a pigeon pose. It's your practice. Go get them, no problem. For those of us that this feels like an available place to stay, we're just going to take a couple of moments and breathe deep here. Slowly walking back up onto our hands, leaning all the way over toward the right sit bone. Let's ground both feet in front of us. Hands can come back behind, and we're just going to take a simple little wiper, knees side to side, giving ourselves a little space to rinse out hips, rinse out low back, and then lean toward your left sit bone and kick both feet over toward the left side. So again, we can start in a way where the left knee points forward and the right knee nests into the bottom of the left foot. Ideally, we're looking for our left sit bone to stay down and the upper body to lovingly turn toward the front of the mat. That might be ripe with sensation. So if it is, it's either a good place to stay or even find small adjustments that might dial that sensation back if it's too ripe. For those of us that want to create a little bit more sensation, you might change the alignment where left shin bone starts to draw toward a parallel nature of the front of the mat and right shin bone draws to a parallel nature to the long edge of the mat. Work to tack your left sit bone beneath you and just see where it is that you can comfortably rest the upper body. Again, friends that are just deep lovers of pigeon and that's what you would prefer, you're welcome to explore. So again, breathing where we are with conscious love into this loving stretch. We're not trying to overdo anything here. We're just inviting openness into our body, awareness through our breath and our attention. A few breaths here. And then when you feel ready, back up onto hands. Let's do the same thing. We'll lean over and kick our feet off toward the side. Give it a little sway and a wiper. And then really nice and slow, we'll roll all the way back down onto our back. We're going to start by rolling over toward our left side and cradling our head. Send your legs longish down the mat and begin to bend your top knee, your right knee, until you may or may not be able to clasp the bottom of the right foot or grab onto your pants. Would be a great time to grab a strap for a moment, should that feel good. Send your hips forward as you pull your right heel in toward the back of your sits bone. Lovingly start to loop your right shoulder onto your back and breathe a couple long, full breaths here. And then again, release. We're going to take the journey to roll all the way over toward the right side. Move my mic pack. Cradle the back of your head, stretch your legs down the mat, bend through your top left knee, and try to grab the bottom, the base of the left foot. Hugging this in towards you, shrugging your shoulder back onto your back. There's so many ways to access these stretches if they don't seem easily available to us. So this shouldn't tweak the knee, it shouldn't tweak the shoulder. There's no harm in using a belt or a towel. Ideally, we're feeling a nice open stretch to these big muscles we used through the lunges and the muscles that we use every day through just the habitual action of life. Last big breath here. When you're ready to roll back, find yourself onto your back body and rest your hips down. It might feel good to stretch out long when you get here or to hug knees in. I'm going to leave that to you. When you're ready, you'll meet me into a place where both knees are bent, shoulders rest to the earth below you, and we're going to start to hug right knee in toward our belly. Now, totally up to you if left foot stays grounded onto the floor or if you decide to kick the leg out long. Totally up to you where it is that you're hugging your right knee in towards you. So that could be directly into your right breastbone, or maybe it's up toward the tip of the outside of your right shoulder, or maybe you need movement like stirring your knee and your thigh bone around in a circular shape around your hip socket. Wherever you are, take one more full body breath here. And then we'll change. So we're going to bring our hands back behind the right thigh bone and extend the sole of your foot all the way up to the sky. And just notice how that feels. It's not a huge necessity for your leg to be straight in a posture like this. I hope that's clear. Straightening to wherever it is that you're starting to feel the stretch. So the second that you're feeling it, you're doing it. Hooray! Nothing to prove, nowhere to be. Breathe into the sensation that you feel. We have 2 more here. Rebend through your right knee. The left hand is going to steer the right knee. Right arm is going to lay open on the floor. And we're going to bring right knee across the center of our body to an extended leg twist. If you would like something to come and meet your shin, ankle, knee, thigh beneath here, be that a block or a blanket, welcome yourself to that support, or just the loving hold of your left hand across the thigh or the knee might be enough for you. Couple of full body breaths here as we work to slowly, lovingly melt our right shoulder all the way back down into the mat. When your exhale comes, return, feet back to the floor, hips adjusted back beneath shoulders, full body breath. And slowly, lovingly, we draw our left knee up in toward us. Without making assumptions, check in with the pose. It doesn't have to match the right side. Your right foot may stay grounded on the floor, or it may stretch out down the length of the mat. Where you hug the left knee into you might not match where you wanted the right either, so take care in the moment to know your body in this moment. Breathe expansively. Sending love notes all the way through the tissue of our body, the territory of our mind with each of these expansive breaths.
When you're ready, change hands behind your left thigh bone. Kick the sole of your foot toward the ceiling until you feel sensation, until you feel the fullness of that stretch. And again, breathe. When your exhale comes, rebend through your left knee. Lay your left arm onto the floor and let your right arm steer and guide your left knee across the center of your body into an extended leg twist. I very naturally on this side like to hook my left toes behind the crook of my right knee. If that felt in any way natural to you, you could try that too. And come all the way back to center with an exhale. Stretch your legs down the mat, stretch your arms up overhead. When your exhale comes, one more big self-hug. Again, it might feel good to rock around, to stir circles around the base of your tailbone. I like to slide my hands down between my shins to hold my ankles. And you could either choose to lift the soles of your feet to the sky in a happy baby, very typical for the end of a asana practice, or do as I am, push the soles of your feet together and let your knees fall out wide as you hug your sits bones down into your heels. We'll stay for 2. And when you're ready, expand your body across the mat. Welcome yourself to comfort, noticing if there's anything that you might draw onto the mat with you. So any bit of clothing or a blanket or a bolster or a pillow. Welcome your body to be comfortable as you draw into this final posture, Savasana, inviting integration of your simple, loving stretch through you. Inviting complete release of all of your muscle groups from your feet, through the length of your legs, from your hips, your buttocks, your torso, your chest, your shoulders, your back, your arms, the back of your head. Fall into support here and enjoy a couple of moments where now the body can rest. The breath can flow easily without thought. And we can allow ourselves just one simple moment to be before we carry on with the vibrance that life might hold. If you had the space in your day to remain in rest for a couple more minutes, gosh, I empower you to do that. And for those of us that'll rise from here now and head back off into life, I hope that you can do it feeling a little bit unwound, like you delivered intentionally those personalized little love notes through your body with this simple stretch, that you feel truer and brighter and clearer. The light that burns within me recognizes and deeply bows to that exact same life force and light that burns within you that makes us the same. Thank you for being here. Namaste.